Welcome to Creative Pages with Catherine. I'm Catherine, and it's time for something a little bit different around here. I am going to be working with our Autumn Cottage collection, and if you were lucky enough to get the Buy It All bundle when the collection first came out, it came with a project book. Well, I'm going to take one of those projects and I'm going to expand it into a two-page layout. And I'm also going to change the color palette just so that way you all might get some extra inspiration and ideas of something you can do with this collection. And also, I'm going to help you add a couple more photos onto the pages, which is, something that I like to do. So let me get things switched over so I can show you what we're going to be working on today. This here is the project booklet I was telling you about in the intro, and it has several single page layout project ideas in it. It has a card, it has some other odds and ends as a cutting guide, and if you were lucky enough to get it, you would have this project here. And I'm going to take this one and turn it into a two-page layout because I think it's worth doing. I think it's going to be interesting. I am taking some inspiration from recommendations on what they recommend here as well as some of the cutting, but we are going to change it up just a little bit, and I will show you at the end so that way you can see how I took it from a single to a double page. For the base, we are going to be using Hot Fudge cardstock. Like I said, I wanted to show something different, but I don't know, I don't mind the white, but I really like the idea of the brown with this collection with the tones in it. So 2 pages of Hot Fudge cardstock are what you're going to need, along with a sheet of avocado cardstock. I am using these 2 designer papers. Oops. So the one with the trees on it that has the knitted sweater look, yellow knitted sweater on the back, and the one with the falling fall leaves on it with the orange on the back of it. And finally, a sheet of orange shimmer. You can see I have it from another project I've used, and this is a scrap, but that's fine. We are going to pull out our circle cutters, and I need to get mine reset to 4 inches. So we're going to go ahead. When you look at your circle cutter, the bottom white markings are your inch marks for where your circle size is going to be. You can see I'm just a little bit larger than 4 right now, probably from something I did at one of the virtual crops. So I'm just going to go ahead and I twisted my white dial, if you will. And now I'm going ahead and twisting it back. I'm twisting in place so we can cut our 4-inch circle. I am going to check it here to make sure I have a full 4-inch radius where I'm not going to overlap some of my pieces cut already here. So I'm not actually pressing down to cut. When we cut, you remember you push down on this white part here. So I'm actually going to move this over just a little bit, up just a little bit, because I think I can actually save a little bit more of my paper that way. Bring it down just a hair. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and cut my circle. I like the circle cutter. I like the custom cutting system as well. I think they both have their place. But I just thought, I think the booklet calls for the custom cutting system, and I wanted to show you the circle cutter. Our 4-inch circle is out of our orange shimmer cardstock, and that's it for this. We're just cutting the one circle, and we're going to cut the circle in half. I do want to show you all how the trick to do that. Set your cardstock to the side. Move your cutting mat. You do want to use your circle cutter on your cutting mat, so that way you're not cutting your table or whatever's below it on your tables. Grab out your 12-inch trimmer. Go ahead and place your circle as far up as it can go in between these 2 corners here that come down on either side of where you cut. And then that's it. You're just going to cut your circle in half, and it works out every time. quick and easy. So now I'm going to leave my trimmer out because I have not cut anything. I'm actually going to do my cutting on camera for you all this time. Let me adjust my frame here. So here's my 12-inch trimmer. I'm going to go ahead and do my cutting on camera for you all. So again, just something a little bit different for me to show all the cutting again. Don't think I've done this since we've been in New Mexico, or since we lived in New Mexico. So I am first going to go ahead and cut 6.5 inches off of our avocado cardstock. Now, what I'm doing with my trimmer here is, don't forget you have a little foot at the end of your ruler here. When you pull it out, you want to make sure your little foot is down, so that way it'll give you stability to hold up your ruler. Place that down. We're going to line up our cardstock at 6.5 inches here. 6.5 by 12. And then you're going to turn it, and we're going to do 2 mats at 4.5 inches. So here's 1 and 2. So 2 mats at 4.5 by 6.5. And then we also want 4 mats at 4 by 4, which means we're going to need a second sheet of our avocado cardstock. So forgive me for miscalculating that. That's what I get for not thinking it all the way through, but sometimes I do some of this when I'm cutting off camera. So I am definitely not the mathy advisor. I am the creative advisor, I guess. Not that you can't be both mathy and creative, but I guess in my job I did use both sides of my brain. But so one more sheet of avocado cardstock so we can get that last 4 by 4 mat. So we're just going to go ahead and cut off another 4 by 12. Turn it and cut it 4 inches again. And then you will have this other 4 by 8 left. So, all right. I may wind up giving you another idea of something to do with this. I am going to be filming a sketch with me for this collection, so I will keep this in mind that we do have some avocado cardstock. It pairs nicely with this collection. So stay tuned to see what we do. We'll probably use avocado just to help use up some scraps. I like to give you all ideas of how to use up some of your scraps as well. And we might see the orange shimmer again too. You never know. Okay, next we need to cut some 1-inch strips from our designer paper here. So a lot of times when we do these smaller cuts, we use the right side of our measure just because it's easier to hold on to the paper with your left hand. And most of us are right-handed, so you cut with your right. So just line it up at 1 inch on either side. You need 4 strips of the tree paper at 1 inch by 12 inch. And then we're going to cut 8 strips from our fall leaves because we're going to use, we're going to do, hang on one moment, 6 strips because we need 10 strips total. We have 4 and we need 6 because we're going to use 4 from the leaf side and 2 from the orange side. Like, well, I just said I'm not the mathiest, but that's okay. It's going to look pretty when it's done. So 1, 2, and I'm just going to go ahead and flip these over right away. So then that way I know I have my 2 orange. And then we're going to do 4 more from the leaf side here. I mean, they're all coming off the leaf side. There's no need to flip your paper while it's in your trimmer. You just needed to remember to turn over 2 strips. All right. So that is all of our cutting we need to do for this layout. Go ahead and pull in your left side. Doesn't really matter which sheet of your cardstock, but what I am going to do is I am going to pull back in my cutting mat because it does have the dimensions on here. I think it's going to be easier for lining up our strips. You know, a lot of times I tend to eyeball things, but since this is really a specific way of doing this page, I think we're going to just go ahead and, you know, make things a little bit easier on ourselves. So we have two of the fall leaves. We have the orange and we have the tree paper here. And actually, I think I'm going to reverse that. We're going to have the white to the outside. And it doesn't really matter. It looks like it doesn't matter as much which direction you have your paper going because it looks like there's leaves going both directions. Okay. All right, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to start at 1.5 inches from the left side of the edge of the page here. On the project recipe or the project booklet, they recommend starting at 2 inches, and I you know, we're going to start at 1.5. It's up to you if you decide you want to do 2 inches, go for it and do 2 inches. It's, you know, it's ultimately your page and your project. I'm just giving you all an extra idea of something you can do. And if you want to add that extra 1/2 inch going to the right, you can. I kind of want to leave that little bit of extra space in the middle because we are going to be adding our extra mat through the middle. But we might actually change it up a little bit also. I haven't decided yet. I want to see what it looks like once I get these down. So 1.5 is here, and going up is going to be here. Whoops, it did make it a lot easier to get that placement started. I would have been pulling out my zero centering ruler. Otherwise, y'all know I love my zero centering ruler so much. It does help a lot. And then I'm just setting the strips up next to the one right next to it, flush, so that way there's no space in between. Make sure I'm getting these. You know what, I guess this almost, I thought it was trees. I thought this was the tree page, but oh, I'm looking at it closer. It's almost like a leaf collage, but hopefully you'll be able to, it's easy enough to figure out which page is which in this collection anyways. I'm glad I showed you both sides of the pages that I'm using, if you choose to use them this way. All right, let's go ahead and pull in our right side a moment and go ahead and get our strips going down the right side as well. And again, we're going to start at that 1.5 inches over again. And I'm just going to, let's go ahead and flip as we go. Here we go. And then we'll get those start placing in the same order as we put on the other side. Now, if you really want to, you can use 3 different pieces of paper and take inch strips off of them. I tend to try to be a little more frugal with my paper, and like I said, you might see these pages again in the sketch with me because we do have quite a bit left. That was something else that I wasn't super sure about the project booklet when I saw it and I saw how much extra paper we had left from if we were going to make the projects as they were written. So this, at least we have a little bit less left over, but I am going to give you a second project to give you some ideas with your scraps as well. Here we go. Well, no, it looks more like a tree. It looks like it has a more defined, darker place in the middle of it. Yep. Going this direction. Line it up next to the one. Here we go. Oops, I need to get it down just a hair. Okay, there we go. And not that one. We need this one next. Oops. And then this other one that I thought looked like trees, which might actually be trees. If you go back to my collection introduction, you can find out what all the paper names are. And I think I've introduced 4 collections since then, so I don't always remember every single paper name, but I do like to know roughly what they are starting out. It does help. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and place our 2 4x4. Let me get out my picture here. This one is going this way, but then we're also placing our half circle up here. Okay, so this is going to overlap a little bit. That's why they went 2 inches. Okay, so this is going to go under just a little bit. And hopefully you all will be able to slide that under. I'm going to get my multi-purpose tool. So like I said, if you want to start 2 inches over, that is your prerogative. I'm going to go ahead and place a little bit of tape runner on my circle. So that way when I lift and I'm going to place it, let's see here. Excuse me. I'm going to start with my mat. It's going to be about 1 inch from the bottom corner here. So right at the 11s coming in. And then my circle is going to go under right around here, I think. So it's right at the 8 3/4. And I'm just sliding my multi-purpose tool under here so I can get this under this other one, because we do want it to be flush with the edge of the page. And there we go. You know, it's kind of like I say, with paper, there's always a way to fix it. It's okay. Nobody's going to cry if your circle isn't exactly flush with the edge. You know, I guess it's all perspective. It's kind of, you know, if you're a perfectionist and you want to do it that way, that is up to you. But I'm okay with it where it is. Let me find my 0 centering ruler because I just lined that up, but I do want to make sure I am even going across my bottom here from my 1 to my 11. Yep, that looks pretty good. Okay. It's hard with the other lines coming this way. You want to make sure that this one's set as well. And then this one is gonna, we're crossing what, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. So we'll bring this in 4 as well. And we'll come down 1 inch from the top as well. And bring it in to the, let's see, I guess I am about halfway through this one. So we'll go to roughly halfway through this one here. Let me check and make sure I'm straight, which I know I'm not because I just let go of that and it went crooked on me. But that's why we can reset this. Let me bring it over just a hair. No, does it have to be perfect? No. We're human. These things don't need to be perfect. All right. So now, initially, I was thinking about putting my two 4.5 by 6.5 mats through the center of the 2 pages here. If I can actually get this one to come up for me here. Goodness gracious. Sometimes these things go smoother than other times, but at least I'm recording and it's not live. So I wonder if I want to do it this way instead. No, I like the idea of lining up with these other two with this line here, at least the top line, because I know these are a 1/2 inch, so you can center it kind of with your eye visually. Yeah, I think that's going to be it. We're going to center it, and then how's about we cut these in half before we place? We'll cut it in half after. How's about that? Okay. So let me get these other two on my left side placed down first, and then we'll get our mats on, and then we'll cut it, and it's all going to be good. You can see where we're going anyways, and I think it's going to work out for us. All right, so this other one was an inch up, and so we're going to go ahead and go an inch up again, and then we're going to line it through 4 of them, about a 1/2 inch through that 4th one. And here we go. Let me get my 0 centering ruler going across, making my life a little bit easier here. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4. About halfway through is here. Done. What is it that they say? Work smart, not hard. I don't know. Maybe, hopefully, I try to do something smart. It's nothing else. It does look pretty in the end, and they always look great with the photos on it. Okay, so 1 inch down and 1 inch in is right around there. Okay, so 1 inch from this 11 and from this 11, and then this one is the inch up, but halfway through this other one from the 1.5 in essentially, but this is 1.5 over, so about 3 inches from the left side. Now, this guy is going to get placed as well, and we're going to have to sneak it under. I guess I should have put this up probably before I put our mat up, but it's about, let's see, we're going to come down part of the way from our, was it, the 9, 8 3/4 on the other side. So let's go 8 3/4 on this side. Why not? Make life easier. 8 3/4 from the top here is right around there. So visually I can see it. Now I just need to slide this under. And voila. Like I said, doesn't have to be perfect, but I think that is not too shabby. Pretty good for what we're doing here. Now, let me grab my other side, because we need to work on both sides together. You can put your mat away again. I know we're going up and down with it a little bit this time, but like I said, I think it's worth it to add the couple extra mats. It just does help to bridge through the entire page here by having this extra highlight of the avocado. And here we go. Let's see, how's about so if that was an inch up, we need about 3/4, and you can, on your 0 centering ruler, your lines run exactly both ways. I guess I should say we had 6.5, so we need 3 1/4 on each side as well. There. That doesn't look right because my 0 is not in the center. Okay, let me get my 0 on my crease, and then let's try that again. Sometimes the brain does funny things. It's a good thing I didn't push down on it. There we go. That looks more like it. Okay, running through both pages evenly. We'll go ahead and bring it down 3/4 from the top, and I'll make sure my 0's in the middle, right on the seam between the two. 1, 2, 3. There's 3/4. Let's see. Hang on, I need to bring this down a little bit because I am getting a glare off of my lights. Where are we? There's 3/4. Here's my 0. Come over here. And there we go. Okay. And now 3 1/4, 3 1/4, done. Whew, okay. Now, oh, that looks crooked. Hang on. Sometimes I think I got it and then I don't have it. It's definitely not straight. Okay, do this again. All right, so 3/4 down, so excuse my head if I'm in the middle of the camera here. I've got my 0 on the seam between my 2 pages here, and now I'm going to try to go to 3 1/4 for where the mat is. Don't push on it, just, oops, hang on, this is moving on me. That's flat. Okay, that's good. That looks good. That looks pretty good. Oops. How are we? Okay. So there we go. Now we're straight. Put my ruler aside. Grab out your scissors. You can use your all-purpose scissors or your microtip scissors. Either one will do the job. And you just pick up your layout here. We're going to cut it through the center of the cardstock here. Because once you get it into that page protector, your pages are going to be separate anyways. So hang on. Let me just, there we go. Sometimes things go smoother than other times, but that's okay too. That's what keeps it interesting, right? And we're all human, right? So there we go. What do y'all think so far? You can leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you have any questions. So the original is essentially this, which is the single. So I drew out our circles to make it more spaced. And then we have our extra photo going through the middle. Yes, you are going to need to cut one of your photos in the middle, or, you know, if you want, once you go to put it in your album, you know, you can do kind of like what I do. You can just do a partial mat and you can fit a 4x6 photo this way, and then you can even do another 4x6 this way. I would trim it down just a hair since these are the 4x6 mats. You can mat it at 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 and turn it into a square, or you can take it and just bring it out a little bit from your mat and have it framed on 3 sides instead of 4. That's something I do a lot with my photos. I don't know if I'm lazy or sometimes that's just the way it works out for me. What can I say? Okay. Now, the next thing, maybe I should have mentioned this at the beginning, but grab one of your index sheets. Basically, it's a free sheet of cardstock. And one of the things that they recommended in the project booklet as well was to add a little splatter to the corners of your cardstock and to use your shimmer brush pen, your gold shimmer brush pen specifically. And so it's a lot easier to do this on a, you know what? How about we just, okay, let's do this first. I'm just going to tap. Okay, so this isn't going to show up as much. If you want to tap, you can splatter. You can do it however you want to do it. I'm just going to add a few. I guess if you actually flooded out your pen and then had an extra way to get it to splatter, I'm going to have to work on my splatter techniques here, because usually if you do this, you should be able to see it, but I'm not seeing as much. So I'm just adding some little extra dots and things up in the corner here. I'm going to add it to our white and then bring it down a little bit, but I'm not going to put it on my mat. That kind of looks interesting. I wonder if I can almost do a little bit more of a leaf shape out of it even. So if you get a little, you can add a couple of leaf veins and make it look a little bit more like your falling leaves. Okay, I'm all about giving you. See how I kind of put that, and then there's the kind of the outline of the leaf and the spatter here, just a bit. So I'm just going to go around that a little bit more. And let's see, hopefully the camera's picking that up. You see how it just kind of roughed in some leaves. So it almost looks a bit more like this paper here with the veins and the kind of the dots. So from splatter to leafages, that's what we're doing. We're going to go ahead and do that on the opposite corner as well, because sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of that extra symmetry as well. I'm going to turn my paper here, and I'm actually just going to see if we can splatter still. No, I'm not very good with the splatter. So we're just going to start dotting again, make it look kind of like this other paper a bit, and then I'm actually going to rough out some actual leaf shapes as I go, and we can stick a couple of little veins through it as you're going. And kind of just bring out your inner Bob Ross and just add a little extra flair to the edge of your page here. You know, we all have seen, everybody's seen Bob Ross, haven't they? He kind of takes and he does, he does this. And then, so basically what I'm kind of doing is something a little bit like that. And so it looks a bit like a leaf, and I'll hold that up too so you can see it on the white. But it's basically just a very simple dot and line. So here's what it looks like on the corner of it in the brown. And essentially, this is what it looks like on the white. So you can see it kind of is like a little bit like a leaf, but it's sort of an abstract kind of, not, it doesn't have to be perfect leaf out of our gold shimmer pen. What do you think? Hopefully it's not, everybody can do dots and lines, right? And squiggles. I mean, basically, and it just kind of works out sometimes. I don't know. These things happen on the fly sometimes. Okay. But we're not live, so it's, it's all good, right? Okay. Not that it wouldn't be all good if I was live. Sometimes it just kind of, it feels a little bit more relaxed when I'm not. How's about that? Now, pull out your stickers from this collection because we need a little bit of extra color. We need a title for our page as well. And let's see, I was looking at our signages here, like this pumpkin patch trail, and I really kind of like this one. So I think we're going to go ahead and place this down in this bottom corner here. Actually, yes. I feel like my pumpkin patch is going the wrong direction, but that's okay. We can act like we've already been to the pumpkin patch because we have the pumpkin bucket here, and we have some other pumpkins, and we also have some gourds, and we're gonna just do this. We're gonna have our pumpkin bucket, and we're gonna grab also this double pumpkin here, and we're gonna create a little cluster here with, I just stuck our, of the bucket over the top of part of that lighter pumpkin here. And I want this to go, I'm going to put it on foam squares right through the, no, I'm not going to put it on foam squares. We're going to put it just right on the page here. So that's not going to interfere if you do, like I said, the 4x6s through here or through here. It doesn't interfere with any of that. And I also want to, because we have a little thing that says trail, so maybe we should grab this trail map up here. And then possibly let's grab the scenic route sign as well. So I think that actually might be really fun to, again, just place this coming out from behind your map. And then this is going to go up here. So again, it's not going to interfere if you do the little 4x6 through here. Or, I mean, you still have a little bit you can frame out this, but I think it almost is better if your photo goes more towards the center. So if you're doing that, you kind of want the green to be the outer edge of where your photo is. Just because that's just how it looks better. So we have our pumpkins, we have our scenic route. So we have this little bit of orange popping back in through the middle. We have the little round shape, and we've used a couple of our signs. And since this one says trail, it made sense to have the map and the shoes up here. And if we also want, we can go ahead and add our beautiful views with this green, because the green, again, y'all know I'm really funny about color sometimes. Let's grab these two leaves that have the orange and the green. So I've got the swoops. Here we go. That's what I'm grabbing. Beautiful views and the two fall leaves here that match. And we are going to have this up here. Well, where we're going to place our other photo. And there we go. Okay. How y'all feeling about that? I feel pretty good about that. We've got a space to add our extra photos. We have our page nicely decorated and ready for our photos. We have our little shimmer leaves at the corner, which you can see they're very subtle, but you can see them. You can tell there's something going on at each of the corners. Now, if you want, let's see. What other shimmer brushes do, well, you could add a little extra with one of your other shimmer brushes. We do have a white shimmer brush pen as well. You can actually take and do a little bit more decor to your corners there if you would like. Or you can use the silver as well, if that's what you have as well, just to kind of, because the gold is very subtle here. You could definitely highlight it a little bit. In fact, let me grab mine. Okay. Here's my silver. We're going to go ahead and just give it a little bit of extra here. Let's see, because we have the white behind these stickers and we also have the white behind the leaves. I think this is going to be okay. We'll just add a few extra squiggles coming through and highlight a little bit here as well. Okay. Just going to add a few extra dots as well. And you can kind of see it a little bit more at first here, but I think as it dries, it's not going to be as visible either. So there's my extra silver with the gold on that side. This one is currently just the gold, and I'm going to add a little bit of extra silver up here too. I'm not spattering it all because I don't have my extra security net down here. We're just going to highlight a little bit and kind of go around, just adding a little bit of the leaf shapes. I'm adding a few dots and just going through and making what makes sense to me, I guess, as we're going along here. I'm kind of going over a little bit of what I went over in the gold, and now it's drying. So here's what I just did with that other silver pen. You can kind of see it's a little more squiggly, a little more abstract, but it's still there. And oops, where are we? Here. That's pretty much dry. So let's see. Yeah, not getting any glitter on me. So what do y'all think? Do you like the hot fudge background to highlight your photos and let them come forward? Let me know your thoughts. We have just our 2-page layout today. I just wanted to give you this extra idea using the Autumn Cottage collection. No card today with this one, but I will do my best to get the Sketch With Me filmed soon for this collection as well, because I have an idea that I want to do for that one also. If you liked this one, hit the thumbs up, and if you're new to my channel, welcome. Please subscribe. And thank you to all those of you who return time and time again just to see what I'm up to, what different techniques I'm trying, because, sometimes I know how it works out, and sometimes it's a little bit of experimentation, like with our little shimmer brush leaves. Until next time.